All right, welcome to another episode of Man on Second. A little bit impromptu here because there's obviously some very big news. Before I start here, I just want to extend a hearty congratulations to the Atlanta Braves on the World Series.
Yeah, Eric, it's a big night for baseball, big night for the Atlanta Braves. Kind of sad, disappointing finish for the Houston Astros. Would have liked to have seen just from the dramatic effect aspect of it, I should say, a game seven, and then whoever won, but take nothing away. Uh, to the victory go the spoils, and the Braves. They ran the table. They put the pressure on Houston from the first batter with Jorge Soler homering in
Yeah.
game one, the first batter of the series. And then, as fate would have it, his 3-run homer in the third inning of Luis Garcia just put the Braves in a position where they weren't going to be denied. And, just kind of your thoughts on the series, Eric.
Yeah, no, it was very interesting, for the Braves because they had guys kind of perform in spurts. It wasn't, one guy having a dominant series for the Braves. It was just really, and it was kind of endemic or of what they had done all season long, where there was just this kind of collection of guys who are greater than the sum of their parts.
Yeah, and you hit it on the head. It's a team.
Yeah.
That's and I know we're Marlins centric down here in South Florida, and our market always wants the star player. And I keep preaching it's a team sport. Yes, you need impact star players, but you need a team. You need depth, and that's usually the team that wins is the team with that depth because you're game planning to stop the other team's marquee players. That said, the emotional aspect of it, as someone who's covered, baseball a long time, happy for Freddie Freeman. Thought it was fitting that he hit a homer in the clinching game, and also the final out of the game, the ground ball to Dansby Swanson at second. He's looking at short, excuse me. He's looking at second for the force. I'm like, no, you got to throw the ball to Freddie. He ends up doing it. I think it's poetically fitting that the final out was in the hands of Freddie Freeman. 12 or so years with the Braves, and he should have that World Series ball in his glove if possible, and that's how it went. And the irony and the beauty of baseball, Eric, is, and Mike and I, we talked about this all year. The Braves they were disappointing in the first half. The NL East was not a strong division. Just the fact that 88 wins got the Braves the division, but they got in, and it's a whole new ball game. There's no indictment on the quality of their team because once you get in, the criticism was regular season underperforming, but that all goes out the door. And they stepped up. They showed they had the most depth. They kind of put every team they played in their path. They put the Brewers on their heels. They put the Dodgers on their heels. They had the Astros reeling, really playing catch up. It felt like the Astros were always behind in this series. And then finally they closed them out in Houston.
Yeah, I mean, and in spectacular fashion, really, just one of the more overall just a dominating performance in Game Six. Max Fried goes six shutout innings. I didn't think he was gonna honestly go past the first inning when he got his ankle stepped on. I thought he wasn't gonna be able to go. Um, and then just another thing that really got me in this particular game was how well it was played in the field. Really by both teams. You had Tucker and Bregman diving around for balls, Swanson barehanding. Um, But again, the Braves just had enough guys in that lineup that on any given night could hit a homer, really.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up Max Fried because I think he's going to be kind of the unsung hero of this game. I think the talk will be Jorge Soler's 3-run homer, Dansby Swanson's 2-run homer, Freddie's homer, and the final score with the offense kind of putting the nail in the coffin. But to shut a team out, and you could just see it that Max Fried, once he got through that first inning to go six shutout, you could see the focus. I pick up on even small things like after inning 4 or 5, when he came off the field. It was just all business. He had his glove off, his hat off to show the umpire, inspect it. Game face on. Just he knew the task at hand. He had a comfortable lead, but taking nothing for granted against an offense they can put a lot of runs on the board early and often. And just I thought Max Fried really stepped up, and then the bullpen, just the final 3 innings, just to solidify it.
I mean, and it was a hard-working 6 innings for Max Fried. I mean, those first few innings, he had base runners on just about every inning that he had to get out of. Uh, and when you combine that, the ankle, it was just, I guess the word that I would come up with is gutsy. It was a gutsy performance out of Max Fried.
Yeah, he left it all.
Um,
He's a great pitcher. We all know that. And you want to see, you want to see pitchers step up. You want to see that starting pitcher, especially in a series where starting pitching and a playoff where the starting pitching really was worn down across the board. To see a starter go the sixth shutout, probably could have gone more if he had to. But
yeah,
as you said, with the comfortable lead, interesting. Snit went with all lefties with Matt Sick for two, and then Will Smith, who's naturally their closer, a left-hander, and just the Astros just had a real hard time. And us go back to the first inning because there was a point in that I thought that the Astros, obviously, if you get an early lead, a first inning lead, who knows how the game turns out. Infield single by Altuve.
hmm,
Brantley reaches on that scary play, where Free was a little late getting there, or didn't turn his to look to Freddie to get the lead, and he got the ball awkwardly, and Brantley steps on his foot. He gets safe, so it's first and second, no outs. Freed's, it was kind of ugly. Fox gave us about 7,000 replays of an ankle getting crushed, so we appreciate the visual. And then he threw a couple of warm up pitches, stayed in the game. Now Correa, a big at bat, the third batter in the game. You're not expecting a bunt, but you can't strike out. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
I'm thinking at that point, it's the playoffs. You want the lead. If you get them second and third and one out, then you try to get that early lead no matter what. I'm a believer that in a one game playoff, in a one game series, a part of a series, it's not the same game. It's not the 162 approach.
no.
So what do you think there? I was, wanting more from Correa. The last thing you could do I mean, double play would have been worse, but the strikeout there gives Fried the momentum where one pitch you could get out of the inning with a double play, ends up getting the ground ball, then a strikeout of Gurriel, and gets out of the first. I thought it was a big momentum swing for Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, anytime, and especially when you're in an elimination game situation like that, when you have a runner in scoring position with nobody out, you have to put the ball in play. You can't strike out in that moment, and that's kind of, as you alluded to, it's not the same game as the 162. So, it rewards guys that are willing to change their approach and shorten their swing, do what they have to do to put the ball in play, move the runners over, play kind of that old school National League style game.
Yeah, yeah, and I go back. I'll bring up the first inning of 2003 World Series when the Marlins beat the Yankees, and that first inning at Yankee Stadium. I think 5 pitches into Game One, it was 1-0 Miami. Actually, with the time Florida. And I thought it was real key to building confidence for that Marlins team. It was Juan Pierre bunt single, stole second, went to third on Luis Castillo's either a bunt or a ground ball to first, and scored on Pudge Rodriguez's sacrifice fly. But the Marlins, at that time, without a hit out of the infield, out the sac fly, of course, was a ball out of the infield. They just kind of showed the Yankees we can dink a run off you whenever we want. And with that moment, to get a lead, no matter what, then Jack McKeon used to say, that's why he'd bunt sometimes for a lead in the first inning, because he said, now you need two to beat me. It wasn't just 1-1. You had to get two. I thought, like, again, when it was in this, Carlos Correa is a great player and didn't come through there. Hits a 3-run homer. We're not talking about this, but I picked up that mental note at the time when I was taking my notes on that game. I thought that was real pivotal. And then the second pivotal point, when the Astros broke through, excuse me, when the Braves broke through, when Garcia has 2 outs in the third. I think it was Darno, I think singled. Then he got the 2 outs, and then he has Rosario up, and he lost him. He walked him to put 2 on for the dangerous Jorge Soler, who hit a few. You could just see he was on him a couple of hard hit foul balls. One almost looked like it would have been a double down the line. One was deep flat fly ball, foul ball, and then he hit that hanger. He hit it out of the stadium, and he just kind of really enjoyed it as it is dug out, and and that was a punch in the face that the Astros really didn't recover from.
Yeah, and it just highlights that and it's true of all playoff sports, but I think of baseball most of all is that momentum is tangible in these big time situations. And it's because of the fact that it is, when you scale it all the way back, it's really a one-on-one matchup between the batter and the pitcher. So if you can get that pitcher off of his game on at any moment, I think he really, more so than anything that happened in Soler, as you pointed out, losing Rosario was probably
Yeah.
the biggest part of that. Because once you lose Rosario, then you've got a million different things going on in your head about who's at the plate and you cannot make a mistake to him. And ultimately, lo and behold, the more you try not to make that mistake, the more likely you are.
Yeah, and it just shows it's like execution, and the Braves did that, and then Swanson. Well, let's talk about Swanson. He hit that 2-run homer. He had a big homer the other night. That was kind of a momentum swinger in Atlanta, and this guy didn't have the greatest year by his, but he's a really good player.
Yeah.
Dansby Swanson, that was a steal to get him from Arizona several years back, and just what he brings, just wherever he's hitting in the order, he's a threat. He's very good defensively. You noted about the Braves making and the defense in general, but Atlanta's infield defense is superb, and they just had the makings. This team was we thought that they were going to be really good, and I thought Swanson really stepped up and coming through with that home run, and 3-0 is still get a guy on, you get a home run. Now it's a 1-run game for Houston, but hit 5-0, you felt 3-0 felt real comfortable for Atlanta,
Yeah.
but 5-0 felt like we could start flipping the channel and seeing what else was on.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it with the Braves, the whole notion with them all season was that they're underperforming. They're underperforming. And that's why even as an 88 win team, and they had kind of lost a few guys, but even still with what they had between Freeman and Albies and Riley, really that entire infield, as good as it was, you knew that they were probably a little bit better than an 88 win team on paper.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. Is it's all those things that kind of came together, and then you had the guys in the bullpen that really stepped up in the postseason. Your Will Smiths, your Tyler Matzicks, who had just a fantastic outing again tonight, going
Jackson,
2 strong innings.
Jackson, he was very effective.
Luke Jackson.
Yeah, they just it all worked. It all worked, and we'll talk about the first half wasn't what the Braves had hoped. They lose Ronald Acuna Jr. right down here in Miami with his unfortunate injury in the outfield at Lone Depot Park. A lot of people were writing the Braves off in terms of maybe not winning the division, but certainly going to the World Series, because you lose a dynamic star like Acuna and all he brings to the table. And Alex Anthopoulos obviously is going to get a ton of credit, and deservedly so, for the moves he made. And one of them, obviously Jorge Soler, and then he gets he started off with Jock Peterson, and he comes down to Miami, and for Alex Jackson gets Adam Duvall, who the hits he gets are important homers, including, we thought he was going to be the hero the other night with the with the grand slam home run, and Duvall, and in that stage really made himself a very viable part of the Braves team.
Boy, the Braves really let me down the other night. I was going to be 2 for 2 on my predictions there. I had Duvall the World Series MVP, and I think one of the first props that Mike had me pick was would there be a grand slam in the World Series? And I went yes on that. But enough of that. But like you said, it was really a fantastic turnaround for Alex Anthopoulos to get Soler, Rosario, Duvall, Jock Peterson.
Yeah, those 4. They used those 4 to replace Cunha.
Yeah, essentially. And it goes, and it, again, it's not, but it's just so in line with this Braves team again, because they didn't do it with Acuna. They had guys at every spot in the lineup where there wasn't. I mean, Freeman is a superstar. Don't get me wrong, but at every spot in the lineup, they had guys that were just dangerous enough to hurt you.
Yeah, yeah, and Darno as well,
Yeah,
and he came up.
absolutely.
He's the guy that really took off in Atlanta. Yeah, just from top to bottom, a dangerous lineup. They made it without Soroka, all year. Their pitching, they dealt with injury. They dealt with a lot. Let's flip it over before we switch to the Astros. And Brian Snitker, I want to
Yes.
put a little bit for him because this is a career guy, not the youngest manager, not the young analytical guy that came in. He certainly paid his dues. He's a long time minor league manager for them. Last year they were 3-1 up on the Dodgers. They let that slip away in the NLCS. Don't get to the World Series this year. Over 162, has to keep everything together. Without Acuna, without Soroka, without with the other injuries they had during the year, and then just they got to 88 wins. They won 8 out of their last 10. So they came into the playoffs hot. They took care of business in the East, and then took care of business, to get there. And this guy has been a manager of the year, and a lot of props, and deservedly so, for Brian Snitker.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he wasn't, necessarily the biggest analytics guy, but the way that he managed some of those games in the World Series this year, you wouldn't be able to tell, because it was a lot of patchwork. Guys were going 3-4 innings per start and relying heavily on the bullpen, and he knew which guys were going, and he rode with his guys.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun to watch, for Atlanta. Let's flip it over to Houston
Yeah.
because we feel for Dusty Baker. This was going to be his year. To me, he's a Hall of Famer, and I think he gets in eventually. But that feather in the cap would have been, winning the World Series. Just kind of your thoughts for Dusty and the disappointment there.
Yeah, no, I mean Dusty Baker, it's a shame because he's really one of the guys that's been around forever. Everybody in baseball seems to love him. Um, and this is really that second time. Well, at least I'm sure I'm forgetting, but he's just one of those guys that he always seems to get close, but he's never
Yeah.
there. You
Yeah,
know
I mean, the Marlins took care of him when he was with the
exactly in
Cubs
oh
in
three.
'03, when he was with the Giants, and he took the ball in what is it, '01 or '02, when the Angels won it. Um, in Barry Bonds' last opportunity to win a World Series, it just didn't work out. It looked like the magic was there once they got past Boston. They were a juggernaut. They had home field advantage in a hitter friendly ballpark. They had the benefit of the DH. Even being down 3-2, to be honest, Eric, I thought the Astros were in good shape, going to Atlanta, knowing, in my opinion, all you had to do was win one of three to get it back to Houston. And then, but I think that, losing McCullers was too much of a strain on their pitching. The other guys didn't, Akiti, these other guys just didn't step up like they did. And then on the offensive side, man, Jordan Alvarez was really put under wraps. He didn't do much of anything, and they just that Astros lineup just didn't click. Bregman didn't have a particularly great series. They had moments, but that lineup was really put to rest.
Yeah, no, I mean, and coming back to this game, before this game, my opinion was we were going to a game 7, because Freed, his first time around with this lineup, really struggled in his first start. So I thought, okay, they're going back to Houston. It's a bandbox that they're playing in. They're gonna get going. They're gonna, hit a couple out of the ballpark, and we're gonna go to a game 7. Unfortunately, that's not how it played out for the Astros. Um, but I do want to just touch on Dusty Baker one more time because I don't think it would be fair for the narrative on him to be, just the guy that kind of comes up short. Because the truth of the matter is, it's very hard to go as far as he's consistently gone. And he's made each of these franchises better. And it's really, this is probably one of the best jobs that he's done, specifically when you consider this Astros team taking over in the midst of, you know, coming off of the cheating scandal and having to lead this group of guys through that, adversity, whether they brought it on themselves or not. It was still adversity, leading them through it. That should be the narrative on Dusty Baker this year.
Yeah, yeah, because a lot of the anger of fans in general and the stigma of the cheater, and you still see people referring to him as that. But Dusty did kind of make him lovable and as much as he could, and he's a lovable character and just a great ambassador for baseball and a great manager. And the thing about it is now they fell short, and Correa is a free agent. That team may not be looking the same, and quite be honest, their farm system is not very good. So there's work to be done in Houston. This window on this core of Astros could be coming to a close. Verlander's, who knows what his future is. McCullers, the bad injury, and so the pitching wasn't there at the end, and then some key offensive players. Whether they're going to be back or not. The Astros, when spring training comes, and for people in South Florida, they have spring training in Palm Beach, and so we see a lot of them. If you're a baseball fan in South Florida and go to spring training games, and I think that lineup and that roster may look a lot different, in a couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because when you consider it, this entire thing with Houston, I mean, it's been a tremendous run for them, the 5-6 year period that it's been. But like you said, Correa is going to be a free agent. Uh, Gurriel's 37 playing first base. I
Yeah, so much.
can't imagine how much longer he's got left. Um, and like you said, McCullers coming off of his injury is going to be big, but Verlander, I don't know what you can expect out of him. Zach Greinke, same thing with him.
Yep.
Not that he's injured, but he's getting up there.
Yeah, this is the tail end of his career, and he was brought in to win a World Series, and
Yeah,
those guys, and that's the thing, that's the kick. There's no guarantee. You could you could think on paper you got it all figured out. I thought the Rays had a great year. It's funny, you had a bunch of you had 300-win teams with
yeah,
Tampa and the two the Giants and Dodgers, and none of them made it to the World Series, and the team with 88 wins is the World Series champ. And as we kind of wind this down and look forward, uh, tomorrow, the day after the World Series, means pending free agents can file. So, meaning all the Marlins and all these players who are about to hit the market can become or will file. The formality begins, and then that team that they were just on has a 5-day exclusive window to negotiate. Normally, that never happens where a guy
right.
signs, and then on the fifth day they could sign with other teams. So by I don't know, do the math. What are we looking at? Sunday or Monday or
Yeah,
whatever will be the first day that literally a player, a free agent, can sign elsewhere. So basically, 5 days from tonight or starting tomorrow. So
yeah, that would be Monday.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, read up on those primers. We're going to be, here at ManOn2nd, we're going to be very active. We're going to at least podcast at least twice a week. We're going
Hmm.
to be, we're going to be on top of the free agency, the trades. We're going to have guests. And as we put a wrap, we're going to have a good guest. I'm not going to say it is, but we have a guest coming on, a broadcaster from the Braves, is scheduled to be on with us tomorrow. And, so we're going to have a good podcast, there. And we're going to have guests in the off season. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think we're going to have a fun, as we kind of break down the Marlins and what we think they're going to do tonight. We're finishing the 2021 season, and then the off season hits, and just kind of your thoughts on 2021 and what's ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean this year, like you said, it was definitely ironic that the three teams everybody was looking at, whether it was the Rays, the Giants, the Dodgers. I mean, everybody had pretty much crowned the Dodgers as soon as they got Trey Turner at the deadline, and that parade was already planned.
Yep.
And lo and behold, it's the 88 win Braves that go ahead and snatch the World Series championship away. and
Yeah.
it just goes to show the parity that you have in baseball. And over the course of such a long season, you know, it doesn't matter how, once you get into the playoffs, everything else is washed away. But I look forward to an active off season. I know that there's going to be a lot of really intriguing storylines. This year's free agency class is absolutely loaded. Um, so we'll see how much activity we have on that front. And then, I know that there's a pending work stoppage, although I think most of us expect that deal to get done. I don't expect to have another off season of arduous labor negotiations. Um, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna have fun covering it all.
Yeah, it's good times. So yeah, we kind of put this together. If it's a little choppy to our audience, we didn't really have any format. We let this thing ride. We just wanted to just kind of share our thoughts, and we'll get this out there, and uh, strike while the iron's hot, right? And while
Absolutely.
people are up, and it was good. It was a good playoffs. Again, I think the fan would in us would have liked to seen 7 games just for what that could have meant for the drama. But the Braves had other plans, and good for them. That city went through a lot this year.
Yep.
That fan base, and congratulations to them representing the National East. More than well, so they did great in that regard. Congratulations, Freddie Freeman, Brian Snitker, the whole team, and we look forward to seeing what they do in the off season, and I know the Adam Duvall thing. We'll revisit that probably many other times in the near future. So, why don't you wrap it up there, Eric, for everyone?
Definitely, absolutely. So you guys can follow us on Twitter at ManOn2nd Baseball. You can follow Joe at Joe Frisaro. You can follow me at Eric Wiedeka on Twitter, and you can find all of our videos as well as this live stream on the Five Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night, and congratulations once again to the 2021 World Series champion Atlanta Braves.